paying attention to their news, you see the coalition they are forming. The same criminals, the same old criminals, they are gathering again. You can imagine somebody having coalition with somebody like Erufai. Somebody like Erufai, you are having coalition with him. What will Erufai offer you? The same man that went and brought terrorists to Nigeria, the same man that single-handedly went and brought these terrorists that is taking the life of innocent people. That is the person your brother Peter Obi is forming coalition with. That is the person your brother Peter Obi is forming coalition with and hoping that he's going to do something to change. Mad people everywhere. Bunch of criminals. Mad people everywhere. Wherever you are, you must never forget whom you are. Nigeria is not for you. Nigeria is not for you, has never been for you, was not meant for you, was never, ever, and will never, ever be for you. The earlier you begin to understand that, the better. Upon every revelation that I have made in this time, upon all the confessions we have had in Nigeria in this year, still yet, somebody that calls himself a Biafran, more especially an Igbo Biafran from the Southeastern region, is still talking about election. With all the confession that was made by IBB in his book, there was no single apology anywhere to the Igbo Biafrans. With all the confession made in the book of Babangida, and millions of Biafrans lost their life because of the false accusation. Up to this minute, there has never been any apology from any single person for the atrocities committed against the Biafrans. Nobody, no single person. Including the people that call themselves your leaders, none of them had the balls to demand for apology. None of them have the balls to demand for their rights. No single one of them have the balls to do that. Some bunch of idiots in Ohanese began to demand for money. And they know that that money is not coming anywhere. How much are you going to give to the Biafran people to replace the life of the innocent children that was lost during the Civil War? How much will be enough to be paid for the life we are lost in the Civil War, more especially children and women? How long, how much will you pay to the damage that you have done to the psychic of the Biafran people, more especially the Igbos? How much will be enough? Nobody is even talking about it. If it were to be the Southwest, I bet you by now they will be really raising hell. If it were to be our Oduduwa brothers, that this revelation was made on their behalf, it would be a different ballgame. You see how they fought and fought and fought until June 12th was recognized in Nigeria. You see how they fought and fought for the case of Abiola. The case of Abiola, which even we were involved, Biafran people were involved in the case of Abiola. In fact, Biafran people were the ones that lost most in the case of Abiola. They lost more than the Yorubas. The Biafrans lost more than the Yorubas. But they stood their ground. They fought and fought and fought until MKO Abiola was recognized as a winner. He was given his GCFR. He was recognized as a president and his name engraved there. And today, his family is entitled to the salary of a president. Lifetime salary they are paying president. They are paying his family. That lifetime salary, they are paying it to the family of MKO. That is not enough. Democracy Day was named after MKO. But look at those of us Biafrans, more especially Igbo Biafrans. Even after a confession was made by people who were part of the war, who were part of the crime and the propaganda, yet nobody could stand their ground and demand for apology. Nobody could stand their ground and demand for the thing to be done right. And you tell me that this is ordinary? It is not ordinary. That shows we have men in Biafra land that don't have balls. All these men who call themselves politicians and call the representatives, they don't have balls. Bunch of clowns and idiots. Bunch of criminals and fraudsters. That is what you have. They call themselves your representative. They call themselves their lawmaker. They call themselves different kinds of names. They call themselves elite. There is no elite in Biafran land. Not even one. No single one. Even after that confession. Nothing is done. Even in the midst of confession, Gowon is still there talking rubbish. Gowon is still there denying and pushing lies, and nobody could challenge him. What have we done? How did they beat us to the extent that we are so afraid to speak? Why have we been beaten to the extent that we are so afraid to stand up for ourselves? Why have we been beaten to the extent that we no longer have the confidence to stand and speak for ourselves? It is sad. But I bet you we will never give up. Wherever you are as a Biafran, never give up. The only hope we have is Biafra. And by the special grace of Chukwuka, our Supreme Leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is going to join us. Already they know that he has no case. He has won his case hands down. And now they are coming to say they want to negotiate. Negotiate what? What are you negotiating? And Mazi Simon Ekpa, of course, we are expecting him to join us any moment from now. Why they are continuing their manipulation in all their evil deed, will we continue to push it forward? But I want you to have it in mind that only you can save yourself. The agenda to Islamize Nigeria, the agenda to Fulanize Nigeria is real. It is real. It is even clearer now than ever. And if you think it's a joke, think again at your own risk. The plan and the agenda to Islamize Biafra land is real. It is not a joke. If you think it's a joke, think again. They have cemented the plan. And today, they are already on ground. It is not like when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was telling us they are coming, they are coming. They have arrived. In all the bushes in Biafra land, they have arrived everywhere. I saw some people raising up security for themselves. Of course, raising up security for yourself is good. Raising up security for yourself is good, but is that all it takes? That will not solve the problem. That will not solve it. We must have to fight in one front. You must learn to begin to embrace Biafra, speak about Biafra openly without fear. If you don't do that, it's going to be difficult. Because our enemies are not ready to back down. They're not ready to apologize. I want us to listen to one of the program I came across where this criminal, Gowon, was still talking some rubbish. The criminal, Gowon, in one interview I saw, in one program that I saw, where they were still analyzing what that criminal is saying.
Yakubu Gowon, he disclosed that the Biafra civil war was never his choice. Gowon presided over Nigeria's affairs from July 6, 1967 to January 15, 1970.
You could imagine that Nigerian civil war was not his choice. Gowon is still denying that Nigerian civil war was not his choice. You were the president for Christ's sake. You were the commander-in-chief for Christ's sake. And you call this police action. Before your own very eyes, our eternal leader, Dim Odumegwu Ojukwu, told you to stop the program. Stop the program. You could not stop it. You could not stop the program. In order to find a solution, our supreme leader, our eternal leader, Dim Odumegwu Ojukwu, took you to Aburi. Took you to Aburi, and you reached agreement, and yet you stood back from that agreement. And yet you are telling us it's not your choice. It wasn't your intention to go to war. What was your intention? When a solution was on your table, you signed it, and you went back on it. This idiot is still denying up to today.
One described the Civil War as the most challenging period of his life. Gowon stated this while speaking at the 5th convention of the Christian Men's Fellowship Abuja, Anglican Diocese in Abuja on Saturday. Gowon was of the notion that as it stands at this very moment, he says that while he honors the lifetime integrity of the country, he believes that forgiveness, reconciliation, and unity across faith and ethnicity is what is important.
You cannot talk about forgiveness without repentance. You cannot talk about forgiveness without repentance. Gowon has not repented. Gowon has not confessed. And he is talking about forgiveness. We will never forgive and we will never forget. We will never forgive and we will never forget. How dare you? How dare you talk of forgiveness when you have not confessed your sin? How dare you talk of forgiveness when you have not even accepted responsibility? How dare you? Up to this moment, Gowon is still denying. And all he goes about is preaching forgiveness, forgiveness. We will never forgive and we will never forget. The healing process starts from taking responsibility for the evil you did against the Biafran people. That is where the healing process starts. What am I going to forgive? What does Gowon want me to forgive? What? Gowon, what do you want me to forgive? Is it the innocent children that you starved to death? Destruction of lives and properties? Is it the condition you kept Biafrans today? The hatred, the propaganda you pushed against Biafrans? Which one are we going to forgive? Is it the war you are still fighting against Biafrans up to today? The economic war, the political war, the geographical war that is still going on against Biafra up to this minute? Which one am I going to forgive? We will never forgive. You can continue to preach that your nonsense and continue to enjoy yourself. And I pray, as our Dim Odimoju will promise you, that you watch with your own eyes. With your own eyes, you will get the reward of your deed. Of course, today you're already getting it. For every single soul we lost in Biafra land, you're going to lose double. Everything we pass through during the Civil War, you will pass through it. You are preaching forgive. This is how he goes about gallivanting and forgive who? When there is no repentance, we will never forget and we will never forgive.
He explained that he prosecuted the Civil War because preserving national unity was a pressing priority.
Every time he talk about preserving national unity, what national unity have you ever had since that Civil War up to today? What national unity have you had? Preserving national unity. You had the templates to preserve national unity given to you in Aburi. The Aburi template is to preserve national unity. It was not to create Biafra. Aburi was decentralization that people are talking about today. Aburi was not to create Biafra. Aburi was a clear pathway to preserve national unity. That was what Aburi was all about in Ghana. But what did you do? What did you do with Aburi? You throw it away to the dustbin. And you brought war. And today you are telling us that that was the most difficult time and that you fought to preserve national unity. Until you confess your sin, you will be alive and you will see, you'll be reaping the result of your shame. Your shame will consume you as you are alive. Until you confess. Until you confess. Continue preaching your nonsense, forgive and forgive. We will never forgive and will not forget.
For him, he believes that the Civil War was not out of hate for the Igbos or the Biafrans, but the reason why the Civil War and the actions taken at the time was to ensure national cohesion and unity. So this is what he said. He said, "I always remember the Civil War. It was the most difficult period of my life. It was not my choice, but I had to be there. and I had to do what I did in order to keep this country together. It was never a hatred against any people, I can assure you. So, he said,
This is why we will never forgive or forget, because he continues to lie. Every blessed day, he continued to lie. He continued to lie again and again and again and again. Forgiveness will only come when you accept responsibility, confess your sin, and you'll be forgiven. Confess. We, the Biafrans, we are not God. We are not Chukwu Okike Abiama. Chukwu Okike Abiama have his own way of doing it. We are human. And for us, you must accept responsibility, confess your sin. Only then and then, you can begin to open your mouth to talk about forgiveness.
that his decisions had often been guided by prayers and a desire to act with integrity and compassion.
Imagine.
So, I'm going to take you back to.
Imagine that his decision has always been guided by prayer. So it was after praying. After praying, your spirit told you to go and kill innocent children in Biafra land. You see why some people no longer believe in your prayer, don't no longer believe in all those your religion you are parading about. This is why people don't believe in it. Now you are claiming that you are directed and guided by prayers. So after praying, you got the permission to go ahead and take innocent life, to go ahead and push propaganda, to go ahead and extort a region, to go ahead and deny a region their right. This is why so many of us do not believe in prayer anymore, nor in your religion that you preach. It is sad.
When Yakubu won, when the war was actually called off, his passive remarks, his final remarks as the military head of state, he was a very young man at the time, and he was able to express himself. So let's listen to him.
The so-called rising sun of Biafra is set forever.
What he's playing now is what Gowon said during that civil war with his own clear Korokoro eyes. Pay close attention and hear what Gowon said in his speech. Today, he's saying a different thing and he's denying. Pay attention to what Gowon said in his speech during the civil war.
It will be a great disservice for anyone to continue to use the word Biafra to refer to any part of the East Central state of Nigeria. The tragic chapter of violence is just ended. We are at the dawn of national reconciliation. Once again, we have an opportunity to build a new nation. You will have heard that my government may seek the assistance of friendly foreign governments and bodies, especially in the provision of equipment, to supplement our national effort. There are, however, a number of foreign governments and organizations whose so-called assistance will not be welcome. These are the governments and organizations which sustained the rebellion. They are thus guilty of the blood of thousands who perished because of the prolongation of the futile rebellious resistance. They did not act out of love for humanity. Their purpose was to disintegrate Nigeria and Africa and impose their will on us.
Right, and that was Yakubu Gowon then when he was young, and that was his expression about the civil war. It seems to be that he's reiterating the same thing this time around, talking about the civil war, where he said that it wasn't out of hatred, but that he had to do what he did, and he asked for forgiveness, reconciliation, and unity across faith and ethnicities. My analyst today, I actually have Barrister Eze Eluche joining me via the telephone. Barrister Eze Eluche, happy Eid al-Kabir to you. How are you, sir?
I'm very fine. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you very much, Barrister Eze. Thank you so much. And I also have right here in the studio, Mr. Lawal Ekundayo. Mr. Lawal Ekundayo, good evening, and thank you for joining us today.
Okay.
All right, welcome.
Yeah.
Barrister Ezra, I'm going to start off with you since you're on the telephone. Barrister Ezra, what do you think about Yakubu Gowon's declaration that the Biafran Civil War wasn't about hatred for anyone, it was unity of Nigeria? I was able to play a throwback of his reaction immediately the Civil War was over, condemning the international communities that assisted the Biafrans at the time during the war. So, what do you think about his statement when he said we should accept and accommodate unity, reconciliation, forgiveness across our nationalities, and that let us move forward?
It is rather unfortunate that at the age of 90, Yakubu Gowon continued to exude ignorance, palpable ignorance of what transpired during the war. If you recollect, when the war 1967, it was a 33-year-old young man, unmarried bachelor, who perhaps most likely would not be left from his right. He was not the one on the hierarchy of who was supposed to be the head of it, but for cosmetic purposes, a Christian from the Middle Belt was placed at the top, trying to down the real image of what that school and the governance of that era was supposed to impress on everybody. So if at this age, at 90, he has still not realized what has happened to him, with the killing going on in his own homeland, in Benue, in Plateau, the southern area, the cleansing of the other population going on there, Yakubu Gowon has still not realized himself. It is a rather sad spectacle that such a man is saying. This is a guy who, after becoming head of state, he now decided to go back to school. That is the tragedy of Nigeria. We have characters who, after rolling over Nigeria, go back to school. It happened not just only with Yakubu Gowon, also with the regional government. Which shows that when they were ruling, they were bereft of knowledge, they were bereft of the intellect that was required to rule the country as misjoined as Nigeria. So if Yakubu Gowon is still making those fundamental errors, he doesn't know what transpired during the war. He's talking of national unity, of people who are intrinsically disunited, people who have continued and the record of disunity in Nigeria is valuable. I mean, how will you people wake up in the morning and start killing? And if you're talking of unity at this age, 90 years, it's quite unfortunate.
So,
And I will shy away from saying it's a wasted life, but if he at this age continues to peddle this kind of rumors, has not shown remorse, national unity, does not understand that he played into the hands of the West. And he was used. But the members of the British government have revealed the role they played in the Civil War. And the man is still talking all this crap he's saying. It's very annoying. That is why they don't want to teach Nigeria. They don't want to teach history to students in schools. Because the common thing of history in schools will expose the fraud, will expose the confusion that Yakubu Gowon represents. It's a disgrace.
Barrister Ezra Emuche, at this point in time, don't you think that should be the conversation that Nigerians should have? How we can move on, from what has happened. The Southeasterners feel that ever since that dispensation, when it comes to politics in this part of the world, to be completely put aside. So it's between the North and the South, and if you're even referring to the South, it's basically the Southwest or the South-South. The Southeast is usually not in the picture, and it feels like the political configuration has been done in such a way that that opportunity cannot present itself. But if you look at the political alignment and the trajectory of how politics is played in this part of the world, don't you think that the Southeast has not either been able to actively present somebody that will